All right, and good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Truly Live, episode 47, with co-host and co-founders Oliver Blue and Yolanda Blue. And tonight we have some very special friends and very special guests that's going to be live in studio with us tonight. None other than Bill Free and Lisa Natoli. So stay tuned. We'll be right back.
free. Love is enough. God's love is enough. I know His love, I know His love. Love is enough. It's a love that's freely given to me. Love is enough. And it's a special kind of love, say. Love is enough. No greater love have I met. Love is enough. Than to lay down His life for a friend. Love is enough. Now His love is inside me and you. Love is enough. So just spread love, just spread love. Everybody say.
Trying to find a way to escape. Trying to find a way to escape all the pressure I feel growing inside of me, because I'm far away from you, knowing that you are my source, so I gotta find my way back to you, Lord. I've gotta find my way back to you, Lord. I've gotta find my way back to you, Lord. Gotta find my way back to you, Lord. I've gotta find my way back to you, Lord. I've gotta find my way. Darkly, I see no light in front of me. I come to the conclusion that you are the eyes that see past all confusion to a place called sanity. You take my hand, I'm free. Lord, I've gotta find my way back to you, Lord. I've gotta find my way back to you, Lord. Gotta find my way back to you, Lord. I've gotta find my way back to you, Lord. I've gotta find my way back to you, Lord. I've gotta find my way back to you, Lord. I've gotta find my way back to you, Lord. Gotta find my way back to you, Lord. I've gotta find my way back to you, Lord. I've gotta find my way. Lord, you said you'd never leave me, nor forsake me, and in all my ways to acknowledge you, and then you'll direct my path if I would keep my mind on you. You said you will keep me, you'll keep me, please keep me, please keep me, Lord. I've gotta find my way back to you, Lord. Gotta find my way back to you, Lord. I've gotta find my way back to you, Lord. I've gotta find my way back to you, Lord. I've gotta find my way back to you, Lord. I've gotta find my way back to you, Lord. Gotta find my way back to you, Lord. I've gotta
Truly, the real you loves you. 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 Truly. Truly.
All right. All right. Truly, the real you loves you because the real you is
Love.
all right. And speaking of love, today has been just a love fest. Well, actually, the last 2 days have been just like a love fest. And as you can see in the hourglass, we have our friends Lisa Natoli and Bill Free with us tonight, live and in
That's 'cause we
color
turned off.
on stage with us. And we're going to have a party.
We are gonna have fun.
And Miss Blue might need some power over there. Let's see if we can give you some power. Oh, I see. Yeah. Let's plug it in the front right there. It's probably out of power. Well, welcome everyone to tonight's episode of Truly Live, your weekly talk show talk program where we share what we call
Wow.
relevant information, inspiration, transformation, and empowerment. And we're so happy to be here tonight. It's a special night because we have some special friends with us in studio, not via telecast, but in studio, Bill and Lisa. And we're so happy. Lana, you happy?
I'm very happy.
How about our friends? Are y'all happy to be here?
We're very happy. We're happy to be here
It
with the
has
Blues.
just been a total blast here.
Oh, wow. And so tonight is a very special night. And we look forward to this hour that we're going to be together. And if you're looking for a solution to getting better results in your life, you have landed in the right place. And so welcome everyone. Welcome to our patrons. Welcome to our family. Welcome to our friends.
Hello, Virginia. So happy to have you with us
That's
tonight.
our friend Virginia Carter from up in our northern neighboring country, Canada.
Canada.
Thank you. Thank you,
Woohoo.
Virginia. And I'm sure Brenda, who also lives in Ontario, will be on tonight, as well as all of our patrons. So thank you so much. Going to be a different night tonight. We're going to skip some of the preliminaries. We want to give as much time as we can to our friends. And there go our, what we call our super patrons, our VIP patrons. Hey, Carol, and hey, Bob, coming in from Indiana.
Indiana.
Yes. And you guys are familiar with Bob and Carol friends.
Yeah.
They follow you guys on some of your platforms.
Is Carol, you're the
The ones that
transcribing queen. Right?
Yes.
Conference. Yes.
That's-
yes.
That's
is this Carol who made the birds?
yes.
Bob is
Yes,
so
we have your birds. in
Yeah.
so
mahogany. They're
Bob
beautiful.
Bob does the hand carving and
Yes.
Carol does all the calligraphy and all that kind of stuff. But
right.
Bob actually does the carving.
Nice.
Yes,
We're
isn't
gonna
that wonderful?
take those home,
Yes.
and they're going to be prominent on our bookcase next to a couple of other birds that we have.
So Carol says, greetings, blessings, and love to everyone. Welcome Lisa and Bill to our home and hearts. And Carol responded, yes, they're the ones that do the birds.
Oh, absolutely.
So the birds were a big, the comfort birds were a big hit, Carol. Yay.
Yes. And if you're viewing this for the first time and wondering who all these folks are, well, you know, Yaulanda and I are co-founders and co-hosts of this show, Truly Live. And this is an offshoot of our coaching practice, Truly OB. And this is the way that we are able to share in these digital streets how you can come to know the real you, what we call the real you, as well as here we help through teaching transformational principles to help you to get different results than what you may be getting now. So you have landed in the right place on this Thursday night during this hour. This is where it is happening. And so we're going to, again, like we say, Londa, we're going to skip some of the preliminaries so that we can just
Okay.
get into some conversation tonight. And since our guest was visiting us, very timely, we just thought, you know, how wonderful it would be to share our platform with them tonight. So welcome, Bill. Welcome, Lisa. Would you guys like to greet our community here?
Thank you, Oliver.
Oliver,
And Yolanda.
you have to watch the monitor.
And it's good to see everyone tonight. We're happy to be guests to the Blues for this for a couple of days and to share our time with each of you. It is our joy to be able to connect with people in the flesh. We're touching these guys,
Yeah.
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And to share the experience of friendship and also of some of the conversation that we've had since we've been with you guys is really a connection to self. It's connection to self-awareness, and it's also connection bringing that as an embodiment experience into friendships it's just simple. Before we met in flesh, it was all Zoom connection.
Yes. We've been virtual friends for what, 5 years?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
And now we're learning in just quick time. We're learning that the friendship isn't just telegraphed through digital. It's in person.
No.
It's in
And
person.
It's awesome.
It's live and in color.
Live and in color, and just so happy that Bill and Lisa was able to put us on the schedule on this little journey that they're on. And Lisa, how about you just sharing a little bit with the folks?
Yeah, I just love
Yeah.
being here.
You can't do
And,
that. It's your whole back.
one of the things that we were all talking about last night was we were all sharing our own journey, how it's been to find A
Yes.
Course in Miracles, for these three having a very Christian background, and really what came out of it, which I feel is true for everyone I've ever met, is like we know the truth. We all have these instant moments where we recognize that feeling of joy, that feeling of peace, but then we seem to lose it. And so we all have the same experience
Yes.
where it seemed to take years during like a period where like a foundation was being set, where there was like stabilizing in the truth, like really allowing this to be our everyday experience. And so it was fun, like you hearing your story last night, and Yolanda, you this morning, and like Bill. I live with this guy. I know Bill. He's got some very good stories, and so we were really just feeling like, oh, let's like have a discussion about this, of what it is to live the message, like
Yes.
what it is to really not trying to seek to get anywhere anymore, but start to stabilize in it.
Yes. And those conversations have gone deep here the last, 36 hours. And what we're talking about here is what I hear come from Lisa and Bill a lot when they talk about having a direct experience. Because what good is it if there's no benefit? What good is anything if there's not benefit? And so, like all of us have our own individual journeys, and then for the last 5 years, we've kind of been on the same path. And it is through the relationship that we have built with Bill and Lisa and their communities. The Teachers of God Foundation is one community that they have created, along with the Pure Presence conferences, which Bill is the creator of that platform, where he puts on annual conferences or biannual
Biannual
conferences
conferences.
and bring together dynamic speakers and teachers. And it's all about helping all humanity to wake up, and not only wake up, but to stay awake. To stay,
Lisa
Yeah.
has also created Lisa Natoli International, and she's created the Healing Cure, which is
Yes.
kind
Right.
of well known.
right.
And that's kind of like we both co-founded the Teachers of God Foundation, and then we both branched, including the Teachers of God Foundation, into our own ministries.
Mhm.
And so, it was through all of our individual paths eventually coming together, being drawn together. I think as our consciousness and our awareness becomes open to the possibilities of the thing that we really hope for, the thing that we really desire, and we know that all humanity desires the same thing. no matter what country you live in, what part of the world you live in, under what culture, at the core of all humanity is a desire for peace, a desire for relationship, a desire to have our basic needs met, a desire to have purpose in our life, and to have an understanding of what this human experience is all about.
So our greatest desire is for us to know who we truly are. Oliver, my sister in love, your sister Barbara, is on. Hi, Barbara.
Hey, Barbara, and I'm sure Mom Blue is on.
And
Mama
yes,
Blue is on.
and maybe McLean is watching as well. So thank you guys for joining us. I saw something on here from Sue, but I'm not certain where she is. So I don't know. Sue, I saw something across Oliver's phone, but I don't know where you are. So
She's
hello,
probably-
Sue.
yeah,
That's another one of our patrons and friends, and we love her dearly.
Yes. So tonight we're just gonna have like open conversation on spiritual awareness and how spiritual awareness can be made easy.
Yes.
And so if you have questions, or if you'd like for us to maybe address a particular concern or question you have, just put it in the chat,
Yes.
and we'll we'll engage with you. This is an engaging show that we have, so we love to engage with our viewers. And so, with that said, what we want to do here is just kind of open the conversation. And we were talking earlier today about
Our VIP patrons summed this up. She said, "What a blessing, real time friendship."
Oh.
Bob and Carol, you're so on.
yeah, absolutely. If a lot of us hang out in digital communities, and we see people in these communities, but sometimes circumstances or situations don't allow us to meet personally, like what has happened here in the last day and a half with us. But it is this experience. So we're having this direct experience with Bill and Lisa, and it's nothing like the real hug and kiss, and the real thing, baby.
Nothing like the
Real thing. Yeah.
Okay, Lisa sings like
There's
us.
nothing
All
like the
right.
real thing.
We don't have permission.
Oh.
So we
All right. But anyway, so what we've been sharing is, about this, journey that we're on, and the importance of laying a foundation, having a foundation, a solid foundation. And we all concluded that there is no other foundation that can be laid other than that which is the truth. That is what true always.
yes.
And there's a scripture in one of the New Testament books that Paul said that there is no other foundation other than that which is in Christ that is laid. And the word Christ, when we use that word, basically we're talking about that which is true, the foundation of oneness, the foundation, the reality that we are all the creation of the one supreme creator, which in many communities we call God, and that humanity has, as we wake up to this reality of our oneness, we begin to solve all of the problems that we have, what created ourselves. It is in the knowing of ourselves, the knowing that we all share this same life, this same love, this same creation, which is merely what we have learned in our community, that creation is no more than the extension of the one life that there is. And we're all a part of that one extension. So we're not talking about a dual or a duality situation here, but we're talking about a part of the one life. And ultimately, that understanding comes as we understand that the real essence of who we are is bodiless and beyond time and space, that we're actually timeless and formless beings.
Well, and actually, even using the word share is a concession, because we don't share what is one, and there's only one self. So when we say that verse that you spoke, that Paul said, and he used the word Christ, you could say that you are the Christ.
Absolutely.
And if I asked you in this experience that we're having, whether you're one of the what looks like 4 bodysuits here, or the people that are watching online, if I asked you what is aware of this experience, what is aware of this experience right now, it's the same awareness. And it's not a shared awareness, it's the one awareness that is universal in the cosmos, not just in all things, but in the cosmos. And it's also, you could say, that is the Christ.
Yes.
So this Christ is not something that is a concept. If you're aware of your experience, you are essentially the Christ. Same as what Jesus said was the Christ, and what the Sanhedrin and the Pharisees, all of those guys and women had that experience. They were also the same Christ awareness. The awareness of love's presence is your natural state. And that's what we don't share it, we are it.
We
We
are.
are
it.
the-
And so
yes.
before anybody gets all worked up into a tizzy or a frenzy here, Sacred Scripture says, I and my Father are one. He says, I in you and you in me. So we're not talking about anything that we've not already heard in
Yes.
Scriptures. We're not talking about anything different.
Yes. Yes.
Well, I think, Oliver, because you said a direct experience, and that's really what it's all about. Like, we move beyond the belief system of whatever we learned as Christians or as spiritual people. And like a lot of people that I see on Zoom calls, and I know this was my experience, say, well, I experience pain and I have to tell this story. You know, like I need to share what I'm feeling. And we have a choice, really. Like recently I said, you know, I'm married to Bill Free. You know, I was for years having physical symptoms, pain, and I couldn't get out of it. But I had someone like this guy holding me to the mark, where he, in such a gentle way, like it was a constant reminder living in my house, our house, of I don't have to tell that story. And once you stop telling the story, you start to notice you keep thinking it. And so once you start to be aware, like Bill was just saying, are you aware of your experience, whatever it is, of pain, physical symptoms, of joy to be here, of body temperatures, maybe you're hot, you're cold, you're sweating, you're hungry. And to just stay as the awareness. I didn't get it at first, but Bill, like living with him, he did not buy into my story. I was on a call recently and someone said, like, that's such a cool idea to buy something. Like you have to give something to buy. We're buying into our story. Don't buy into the story.
Yes.
And the more that we can have that practice, that becomes a direct experience of I am the self. And so very grateful. And
Yeah.
it was frustrating. It was so frustrating for me at first because I wanted him to buy into my story. Like I really am in pain right now. I want you to like be in this pain with me, or at least acknowledge my pain. He wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is that you come to a place with the understanding when, just like when I asked the question, are you aware of this experience? And if you check in and answer the question, it's only because you're aware of the experience that you can say that you had the experience.
Mm-hmm.
And what is it that's aware of the pain?
Awareness.
Awareness. The pain comes and goes, but awareness stays exactly.
Awareness
as it
stays the
always
same.
is.
Yes.
And if you do the litmus test, or you do the self-inquiry, and you say, what is it that is aware of this experience And then you ask two questions after that.
Mhm.
Does this awareness have an age? Well, you check in, you go, well, the awareness doesn't have an age. And does this awareness have a gender? And you can't answer yes to either one of those questions. So you have just identified something that's out of time and space and timeless. So you've just identified an eternal experience, a direct experience of knowing the self. And what does this, the ancient scripture say in the Old Testament?
Know thyself.
Know thyself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we've had conversation many times on our platform on that subject of awareness, and that awareness, without awareness, there's no experience. There can't be really anything. Everything happens on the in the field of awareness, and that awareness is that which is aware of itself. And so when we look at when we look at this experience that we're having here in time and space, what is it that's having the experience, and what is it that is aware of something that is having the experience? There is a difference.
Yeah. All right. Before we get off on out into outer space, we've got one of our patrons, Sheila Johnson, is on. Hi, Sheila. Thank you so much for joining us. And she has a question. She says, and this question is posed to any of us. She said, "What was the point when you got it? When did the awareness dawn on you? Was it something you read, something you heard?" So let's make certain. Let's talk about that for a little bit.
Yes.
Thank you so much for the question.
That's a
Great
great
question,
question.
Sheila. Thank you so much.
Well, it's just like what Bill said. So, Sue, thank you for being here. Like, at what point do you get it? So, if in this very moment, can you tell us what you're aware of right now? Just type it in the chat.
Okay, Sheila. So that's for you. If you will type in the chat what you are aware of right now.
Oh,
Yeah.
anyone.
Everybody
Yeah.
check in. And are you aware? And then see what happens at first is the mind says, well, I'm aware that I'm hungry. I'm aware that my knee has pain. I'm aware that, so there's like this local awareness. But you start to see, okay, yes, that's the moment you get it. Like, to answer your question, what's the moment you get it? It's the moment that you can see, I am aware. Like, so often I hear, the other day someone was asking about unconscious guilt. Like, there's no such thing. Like, if you're aware of guilt, that's the awareness. There's an awareness, I'm guilty. I did something I shouldn't have done. I wish there's an awareness there. And so that's the point when you get it. Like, I'm aware that I'm feeling not so good. Or I'm aware of feeling, what did she say?
So Sheila said, "I'm aware of watching YouTube and typing."
Okay, so Bill?
Well, I would say awareness was the thing that was always present, was always available, and it sees prior to even a label.
Mhm.
So when it dawned on me that I am awareness, when it dawned on me that I am the awareness that never changes, and a description was given to that, but first, when you have self-inquiry with, I used to follow, and I still do. I love A Course in Miracles. I followed the Bible before that, and then the A Course in Miracles and Rupert Spira. And when it dawns on you that you are the awareness that's prior to a label, that's prior to judgment, you're the same awareness that you had as a baby at 3 months old. That awareness hasn't changed. And when you were 3 months old, you didn't know your name, you didn't know your parents' name, you didn't know your gender, and yet awareness was still there, the same present and awareness that you are. And if you didn't have a mirror to look into, you wouldn't know, and you didn't have words yet,
Or memory.
no memory. All you are is pure awareness. And that's the unchanging truth of what never changes. You are that same awareness right now that is embodying, or that this bodysuit is active inside of. And that awareness is unchanged by what the bodysuit does.
So you're talking about that which was before any time, any form, any content of experience, any sensations, that which is always present, always existed, even before any form took place. Awareness was already with that one thing that is present.
Well, before they crucified our friend Jesus, he said those words, before Abraham,
I-
truly, he said,
Right.
he said, truly I say to you,
Truly.
before Abraham,
I am. Mhm.
And that's the same I am
Yeah.
that you am.
And when the question was asked, well, who do we say when they ask who sent me?
He says, I am.
I am.
Tell them that I am.
I am that I am.
Absolutely.
Yes,
So
yes.
that I am is awareness, is
Yeah.
consciousness.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
And it's what God is.
It is.
And it's what God
It's
is.
the same thing as what God is.
Yes.
And when the voice in his head spoke to Moses and
Mhm.
said, and Moses asked the voice, who
Who shall I
sent
say?
me?"
Yeah.
Tell them, I am that I am.
Yes.
And so it was his own I am,
Yes.
and he projected it as a separate I am.
Yes.
Sorry for you Old Testament buffs and New Testament buffs that really have a different understanding of that, but that's really what happened.
Yeah. Yeah.
In my point of view.
Yeah, and so like before Sue, I am. So there's this whole conversation. When does a baby begin? And people will say, well, it begins when at the first point of sperm and egg, or it develops at 3 months. We're having this whole abortion conversation right now in the world, and so that's part of the human condition, is that we think that, and then there's like a gender. It's a boy or it's a girl. But before all of that, I am. So Sue, the truth of you didn't start at a conception of sperm and egg. You are the I amness. And now there's this body that we identify with. So it comes with, a gender, an age, a name. You come with the stories your parents tell you, your teachers. So we have all this conditioning and this patterning and this belief in separation. And I always loved it. And that's the thing, like, when is the point? Is it something you said or something you heard? Yes, definitely. I heard it from Bill first. And then I was like, oh, he followed Rupert. Oh, I heard it from, and now you're hearing it here. So we all hear it somewhere. Someone speaks the truth in the darkness, in the wilderness. And someone's like, okay. And they start the journey. And it's so the opposite of the way we live in the world that it takes a minute, which a minute can mean years for it to stabilize.
Well, you had it way before me, because you had the bathtub story before I ever mentioned awareness. You saw in the bathtub when you were bawling your head out, you're bawling your eyes out, that you saw that Lisa was having a pity me story going on, and then you stopped crying and you laughed about it.
Well, he's talking about a story when I was married before Bill, and we went through a divorce, and it was very upsetting to me, and I cry in the bathtub every night. I just and run a story about it, and all of a sudden one night in the bathtub, there was something else watching me in the bathtub, crying, and I stopped crying on the spot. And we've all had these experiences where there's something else looking at the experience. I never cried in the bathtub after that. Never. I was like, and it was like, what was that? It was joyful.
Yeah, but
There was-
what the reason you never cried in the bathtub again is because self-recognition is also self-healing.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's what heals.
Right.
That's what happens in
It's the record.
forgiveness
Right.
experience.
That's right.
It's the self-realization is self-healing.
Absolutely. And that's one of the things that we have shared here, that it is in the knowing of the truth that is the only thing that heals, truly heals.
Yeah.
And that, going back to examples about the I am, we could look at what God said to Jeremiah. He told Jeremiah, before you was formed in your mother's womb, he said, I knew thee.
you. Yeah. Yeah.
That means that Jeremiah existed prior to any body identification or any form. And so that further supports the reality that we, in our true nature, in our reality, we are timeless and formless being. But we get so caught up in the content of our experience, our human experience, that we turn our focus away from the innocence that we all shared, all experienced as babies before we got conditioned by the world. And that word innocence to me is synonymous to awareness.
The word innocence is very synonymous to our inner sense
of knowing
of
our
knowing
true
our
self,
true
which
self,
we
yeah.
call here on Truly Live,
the real you.
Yeah.
And so these things are really simple. Awareness is a simple reality to the knowing of the self.
Mhm.
And we have complicated our way away from the simplicity of just knowing our true self. And
I just think too, though, it is simple, but at the same time, because I think of our residual of the human condition and the body self, like that bathtub story happened in 2009. So how come I wasn't joyful forever on since 2009? Like I never cried in the bathtub about the end of the marriage anymore. Like I saw it differently. I was like, okay, I'm not a victim. But the mind picked up other things to be upset about. So
Yeah.
it was just this thing where it's like, that's where it's like the foundation has to be built, where it's like we vacillate, we sort of step into the truth. It's always here, and then we seem to lose it. And so there's like this time factor involved, where we resist, we fight, we struggle. I don't get it. Why is this happening? And so I don't know how it works.
Well,
but
the personal self-identity is addicted to itself.
Mhm.
So, and that's what we call the ego. The personal self-identity is addicted to itself, and it's going to fight to stay
At the forefront.
It's
Yeah.
gonna
Yeah.
fight to stay, to be represented, and unfortunately, it has to slip to the side. It has to step back, and that's what that workbook lesson. If you're a Course in Miracles student or teacher, I will step back and let him lead the way. Take the pronouns out, and just allow yourself to be awareness. The bodysuit, the personal self-identity, will step back. I'll relax my focus and my fixed position of identity as this, and let awareness, let love lead the way, because a love is also synonymous with
awareness.
with
Yes.
awareness. Love is what God is. Love is what you is.
Right.
I want to talk about these two now, because Oliver and Yaulanda.
Thank you, Sheila, for that question. That was a
Thank you so much for that question.
Yeah, that's awesome.
These two have been married for 32 years.
Be 32 years
32
in
in
August.
August.
Years almost. And it's so interesting to hear their story. and like the devotion, the dedication, all the different things they did, the just reading the Bible, studying that, and then starting to have this experience. Oh, there's something more.
Mhm.
Like there's something, and none of us know what it is at first. Like it's like this pull. Like you start to find things that don't make any sense that we've been taught.
Right.
It's like Yaulanda, what you were saying. She
Yeah.
was telling us a story this morning about when she was a child. She was like 6, 7, 8 years old, and back then they used to take the women who got pregnant and get them up on the stage in the church and make them say they're sinners.
Yeah.
And they had to leave the choir. And she's only like 6 or 7 or 8. And she I love you so much. She gets very passionate in the kitchen when she's cooking. But she's not cooking because she's telling us the story and she's deep in it.
What
She was saying, oh, the woman got pregnant all by herself. Where's the guy?
Where's the guy?
Yeah.
Where's that? And she's only just a little child. So
Yeah.
the mind already knows
something's not right, kosher.
The story here.
Yeah.
Why is the woman the sinner? And then she said, I know God doesn't make mistakes, and I'm a girl.
Yeah.
So there's something missing here that only the girls are sinners. And so, but that's one example where you can find something you read, it doesn't fit.
Right.
It is like this can't. And so Yaulanda and Oliver, I love watching your transformation. We've known you since 2018, and so to come on and offer this weekly show now with these new teachings, like that's to me like it takes courage to do this. It takes like stepping into a place where it's like, okay, I just want to share what's my experience.
Yeah. Before you answer, let me just say that I also love how Yaulanda and Oliver, how the two of you keep having insights that the Bible was always saying this,
Yeah.
Yes.
but it might have got detoured just a little bit. Not that, and I was a Bible student too, and I'm grateful for the Bible because it brought me to the point of holding me in a place where I could hear and understand.
Yes.
And Susan said one thing that we didn't really answer, and that is, was it something that dawned on you, something that you
That's
read?
Sheila.
Yeah, that was
Sheila.
Sheila that asked the
Sheila.
question.
Okay.
Yeah, Sheila.
So in that question, I think that's an important other point that even Eckhart Tolle, Byron Katie, they had glimpses and they had full awakenings, and it took them years to have understanding
Of that, right.
so that the experience
Right.
became a
Right.
stabilized, established experience.
Yeah.
And that's what, and I saw
Right.
Carol mention that she read Rupert and got it. That's
Yeah.
what happened to me. I went to Muji. I had really profound awakening glimpses, but it was when I found Rupert and the simplicity of those ideas, they sunk in.
Yes.
I knew it was true.
Yes.
So I'm going to say hi to Sue. Thank you so much, Sue, for getting on where I could see you. This is our dear friend.
Yes.
We've known Sue I've known her for what, almost 31 years.
Yes.
So I've known Sue for a long time. She's a dear friend of ours.
And she's gone through Lisa's program.
Yeah, she's a supporter of she's a patron of Truly Live.
Yes.
She supports Oliver and I, and we love her dearly. So yes, you are welcome for the conversation. Carol and Bob said Bill and Lisa introduced them to awareness and Rupert Spira. She said she really got it when they really got it when they read Rupert. And we understand, because that certainly helps. It certainly helps with the understanding. Let's see. And then this is what I love about Sue. Sue says, I still don't totally get it. I have moments, but not always. And so that's some of that residual that hangs around trying to, confuse you and trip you up and stuff.
But that's not, those are glimpses. Those
Glimpses.
are glimpses.
Yeah.
And if you can sort of connect it to the idea or the metaphor of a cloudy sky, well, it seems like everything's cloudy, and then
Yeah.
you see glimpses
Glimpse it. Yeah.
of blue sky pass
Yeah.
through, and you think the cloudiness is the norm, but it's the glimpses
Yeah.
that are the true essential metaphor.
Yeah.
And glimpses are like, what was that quote of Florence Scovel Shinn? The branches and twigs.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you, it's like,
Well, the branches and twigs is this idea I read in Florence Scovel-Shinn. She's from like 1925, and she was talking about Columbus.
No.
Yes,
she was talking about she was talking about
the navigator that came over from Europe, and that he was in this ocean, and he's like, he doesn't know that there's land. He doesn't know like where he's going, and then all of a sudden he sees branches and twigs, and branches and twigs
Is an indicator.
indicate that
There's
there's
some
land somewhere.
there's
Yeah.
birds somewhere.
Yeah.
So that's when we're on this journey like this, and there's like here in the world in this time 2022, we're right at the beginning of a complete shift in the awareness of our true nature.
Yes.
The self-help industry, I'm convinced, is going to disappear. The positive affirmations, the law of attraction, all of that is going to disappear. It's going to be like how they used to say the earth is flat, and everybody believed in it until it was proven that it's
Right.
round. And so, like what Bill is saying is like, Sue, since you've had these glimpses, that's the twigs and the branches
Right.
that show you that there's land ahead.
Yeah.
Right.
It's like you're there. Don't stop and say,
Yeah.
"Oh, I'm still in the open sea."
Yeah.
It's like, oh my God, like
Yeah.
feel the joy of that.
Right.
And
So Sue is reading another resource. She said she's getting it more with the Way of
The
Mastery,
way of mastery.
which is another resource that we recommend on this platform frequently. And Sue, we just love your tenacity and the fact that she stays with it.
Yes.
We have this thing where we say you don't get understanding immediately. It is the practice that actually brings us to the understanding. Bob and Carol said the blues have continued my understanding of awareness. You guys are so precious. I love that. And then they also say it is a major shift in mind and perception. It takes practice and love with self along the journey. And that's very true. So the awareness is very much tied in with our self awareness. And however that happens, for me, it was a lot of inquiry. I had lots of questions. I just had an inquiring mind, and it was in the questions that I sought out answers. So I read some of everything. I used to read the dictionary. So I read some of everything, and
I
then
did too.
yeah, I read the dictionary. Love the dictionary. But it was in those questions that I knew that I could get to discovery. But for me, on the journey that Sheila was asking about, when did we know? For me, it was actually a still small voice internally that would confirm, yes, step this way, or you're on this is the path, or you're okay. Because the question that I had, I only knew about only the females being brought up, and there were never any males being brought up, and I knew that couldn't happen because I grew up on a farm. So I knew that in order for there to be conception, that something else had to happen, and it wasn't just one person.
There had to be an there had
Yeah.
to be an entanglement.
There had to be, okay. So it was just those questions, and then that got me to wondering, okay, why is there what is it that causes there to be this kind of inequality, which of course I saw in other ways as well. So Oliver, how did it come about for
me? I had this encounter, with myself, and it was somewhat of what is the word, esoteric? Is that the word? I don't know, but it was I just had.
What's the meaning?
esoteric?
I had a mystical experience all by myself, in my bed, 3 o'clock in the morning, where this understanding came over me, this awareness came over me, that I was not just this body self, but but that it was something. It was something beyond the physical that I was a part of.
Yeah.
And I didn't understand any of that in the moment. This was when I
So
was
you were
this-
not aware
I was
that
not
that was
aware.
awareness at that point.
Right,
You just
but
knew that it was
this
something
was
different.
this, but this was something pointing me or guiding me into where I am now. And this was when I was at age 28. But that inspired me to seek and investigate what that was. And I started from where I was, and that was reading the Bible. And this was in 1987. And here we are in 2022. But that led me to reading the Bible, getting more involved with understanding at that level, and then it also now led me to greater awareness through contact with the Course in Miracles and other spiritualities, but
Just other spiritual
of the
resources.
spiritual resources.
Yeah.
But it was through my desire to know the truth. I wanted to know the truth about who I was. That it is through that desire that I was open and got led to different resources, different people, different experiences, to where I sit here in this chair today, where now it's not about the resources. It's not about it. To me now, it's not about the resources. I have an inner knowing of this awareness that I am.
Well, so
yes.
part of that is
And
these
it wasn't that-
resources are inspired by
Inspired.
the same one source.
That's right.
Because like we know that Sue read, was a Bible student because we were at the same church. So I mean, we knew that. We've done some of the same studies. But Sue is saying that she's getting understanding from using this other resource way of mastery. And so this, I think, is a good example of how it doesn't have to be one thing. There are many ways for us to learn, because there are many inspirations, but it's all from it's all one source.
It's all from
So whatever it is that helps us to come to the point of knowing ourselves and becoming one, and actually living as one with the oneness that we all are, is beneficial to all of us.
Yeah. I think there's 3 keys to unlocking this door.
Mhm.
3 keys. It's desire.
Yes.
It's gentleness. Definitely being gentle
Yes.
on yourself. And the third one is to rest as awareness. Resting as awareness is that gentle pause.
Yes.
Prior to judgment, prior to labels. And then, just as you stated, when the questions come in, just give space for the questions to be answered.
Yes.
Because the mind, when it's sufficiently answered, it relaxes out of the way
Mhm.
and allows awareness to lead the way.
Yes.
Yes.
So those 3 things, being gentle, the desire to wake up, is inherent. You're only seeking what you are.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
You're only seeking you.
Yeah.
And then resting as awareness. Now you're letting awareness pervade and envelop your entire experience. And it will do all the work. You can get out of the way. You don't need to read a million authors. You don't need to chase after gurus. When you do those things, be gentle, the desire to wake up and rest as awareness, it'll do all the work.
Yeah.
And I think it's important too. I love what you just said that, Bill. Those 3 things, because I was a spiritual seeker for almost 30 years. Found the Course in Miracles in 1992. I was reading self-help before then. And when you finally come to this place to realize it's only the body self that's trying to read another book and get somewhere.
Mhm.
And it's you'll never get there. Like, that was the thing I recognized. Like, I was so devoted. I was like,
Yeah.
oh my God, how can I even gave away all my physical belongings. I was just gonna follow Jesus and I'm here only to be truly helpful. I'm forgiving everyone and everything. I'm listening. I'm asking for help. I was doing all the things that were in the book. And I have glimpses, but I was never there. And when you finally, just like you said, I love that, like to pause and rest and just realize that you're already there.
Yes.
That can sound like a concept at first, like right here, right now, we're all already home.
Yes.
Yes.
Already accomplished.
Yes.
It's and I know that sounds like a concept if you're still suffering, you're in pain, you're sick, you're whatever it is. And the mind is like, no, you're so close. Keep going. You're just one more book, one more thing.
Yeah.
I'm gonna start
Right.
start reading Rupert Spira, and he's genius. Like,
Yes.
go ahead and buy his books. But to suddenly say, okay, this to me is the most powerful thing.
Yeah,
When you
right
can
there.
just like put your hand on your heart, or you don't have to. You don't have to.
I'm
do
going
anything
to.
really, but it's like, and it can be helpful to just close your eyes, like take away the sensory. And there's still an awareness of a voice. And memory will tell you, oh, that's a girl voice. Or if you have a memory of Lisa Natoli, you'll be like, oh, that's Lisa's voice. But if in this moment you take away memory, you take away a timeline, there's just sound.
Mm-hmm.
Like memory even knows language. That's you understand what the voice is saying because of memory. And more like, and you can open your eyes, like to stay
Mm-hmm.
in this place, like
Mhm.
right here, like pain. That's a learned word.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you were to take away the word pain, and Bill's the one that taught me this. Like if you, because I was like, oh, so much pain. If you just sit quietly and you take away the word pain and you say, well, where is it? And you take away the body too. If you could close your eyes and take the body away also, you
Right.
realize like there's just this pure spaciousness. You can't even find the pain. The mind will get in there and want to tell a story about it. Well, it started here. I had that bike accident when I was whatever age, but if you were to just stay here,
Right.
and you weren't to call it pain, and it was like, well, what does it feel like? And it starts to dissolve.
Mm-hmm.
Well, because awareness is untouched by the
About
experience.
any of that.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
It's untouched.
Mhm.
Right.
And that's what happens. You're evolving into a connected relationship as abiding awareness.
Abiding.
Mhm.
You're abiding with the Father.
Yes.
With what we call the Father. You're abiding as love, loving itself.
Mm.
Mhm.
And that's available to everything.
Yes.
In fact, everything arises
Out of that.
out of
Yes.
pure presence,
Pure
pure
awareness.
awareness, pure present,
Yes.
innocent love.
Yes, yes, I love it. We've got a few comments here. Sue said, okay, let me go back to this one. Sue said, same here. It's building on everything that she's learned, Bible, science of mind, yoga, ACIM. And she was like, and learning forgiveness towards self, which, Bob and Carol talked about, having the patience. And then Sue says this, which I love. She says, desire for enlightenment is key for me. We know that because we have a chat that we do with Sue, and we need to get back to that. And then Sheila Johnson said, this is another patron. She says, what Lisa is saying is spot on where I am. Yeah. So love it. Love it.
Yeah, I have this experience. I take a bath every night. If there's bathtub around, and typically there is. These guys have the best bathtub ever, and the best water ever, and it's so soft and it's so.
Hey, look, we got the best donuts ever too. Don't we?
Yeah.
Wow.
But sometimes what I'll do, I've been taking a bath since I was a very young girl, and I will sometimes lay in the bathtub and I'll close my eyes. And I'll sort of go down memory lane, and I'll remember the bathtubs I've been in. I don't know, like in the moment, like whatever bathtub I'm in this year, I don't know what bathtub I'm in. Like it's such a cool experience because it's like I'm 5 right now.
Mhm.
or I just got home from work in New York City, or I'm in Wisconsin, or I'm in Europe, or I'm in wherever I am. It's like the awareness.
Or I'm in Mebane. I'm in Mebane in the Blues Tub.
Yes.
Yeah, but the awareness is always.
It's always
ageless.
yes,
It's timeless.
Formless.
yes,
And then of course, like the awareness will bring me back to, oh, this is a bathtub that's in North Carolina.
yeah.
And
Right.
so, it says we can do it with anything.
Right. So
Oh
it's,
wow!
it's-
Look at here.
yeah.
Look here, guys. The pastors are on with us.
The Sawyers.
This
Met
is
the Sawyers last night.
this is
OMG.
Clifton,
I love you both
Clifton
so
and
much.
Tony, and so we all met and had dinner last
Man,
night.
we all met last night, and we had
And
this.
this was the first time this is the first
Right.
time the Sawyers were physically seeing Bob, Bill, and Lisa.
Yes.
And
And
your sisters were
and I,
there.
two of my
Yeah, they're
sisters were
amazing.
there.
And we had this
Experience.
Asian experience. And was that your first time at a Japanese restaurant?
No, I've had Japanese.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's the second one for me, but I don't think I was paying attention because I felt like I was vibing with that chef.
Oh, absolutely.
When he did those tricks
Well,
with
they
the
cooked the
eggs,
food right in front of you.
Yes.
Yeah, it's the hibachi top,
But
stovetop.
yeah,
So it was
but
fun.
but it really like comes down to every experience in our life.
Yes.
The experiences in our life is like the classroom, and the content of those experiences are all happening inside of this one thing we call awareness.
Yes.
And all that we have experienced can be and is being used to
Yeah.
wake us up to our reality
Yes.
of this timeless and formless self that we are, and the fact that we are all of this one self. It's not
Yes.
like the world will teach us that there's nothing but multiplicity and individuation and everything is separate. The world actually is designed to keep us asleep. But when you're able to look past the form and past the time and see the oneness, see and come to, like Sheila say, well, when do you know it happens? You always known it's happened.
Yes,
What we're
yes.
saying is not something that is out there. It is who we all been all the time.
Yes.
It's but a recognition
Yeah.
that we were it all the time. The innocence that we experienced as 2 and 3 year old before we got conditioned in the world is the same innocence that we are now. The experiences didn't change anything. Your hardship did not change your reality. It cannot change your reality because your reality is not in form and in time. Our reality is timeless and formless. And when we're able to just recognize that, and we are able to do that right now in every moment, that's when you know. And then that way you can, like the course say, you can put away your books. You can forget the courses, forget the
this
Bible,
world,
forget the
this
world.
and come with holy empty hands.
Come with your true self.
back to yourself.
Absolutely. And that's when you know.
Praise God.
That's
Praise
right.
God.
And so it's like,
Praise Jesus.
that's right. So it's like we have masked and covered up the reality. And so as we one step at a time, awakening and enlightenment is more of undoing than it is doing.
Yes.
And it's like when you finally peel back all of the experiences, all of the content, all of the relationships, when you finally peel that back, what is revealed is what was always there. And that is that we of our innocent, aware, conscious self, just like the awareness and consciousness that God is. There's no difference. It's not God in us. It's that there is only God and there's nothing else. And if we know that we exist, and the reason we know that we exist is because we are that same awareness, that same consciousness that God is.
Yes.
It's not separate. It's only one. And you are that one. And I'm that one. And all humanity is that one.
Truly.
Truly, the real you
So
loves you.
So the
Yes.
pastors said they loved loved their time with you and Bill, and here Lynn well, Nikki. She says, "Hi, Lisa. God bless. Hi, Yolanda and Oliver. God bless." She did one of your programs with you,
Yes.
Lisa.
And Lynn is a patron
Yeah,
of
she's a
Truly Live.
patron.
Thank you, Lynn,
Yeah.
for tapping in with us
So the
tonight.
pastor said the crucial step is simply embrace and accept the truth of you, even before your mind agrees.
Yeah.
Even before your mind agrees. And Bob and Carol says, "Thank you, Sawyers." They agree with that. So thank you guys so much, Bill and Lisa, for being with us. This has just been
Are you
much
Are
fun.
you cutting off
Well,
our friends?
No, I'm not cutting off our friends. Our time for this show is over. It's already over.
an
Now,
hour.
Bill and Lisa are welcome to stay and be with us again next week. That would be lovely, except their family is expecting them in Florida.
Yeah,
So
we're going to be with two of my children and two of my grandchildren.
Yes.
And Lisa has inherited them. And we're going to be hanging out at the beach with the children,
Yeah.
grandchildren, and one of my in-laws.
So
that sounds
we're
fun.
not gonna, we are new grandparents, and so we're so honored to be a member of that illustrious, wonderful, loving club. So we're
Yes.
not going to take your time away from your family. You're welcome to stop back as you're coming through, headed back to back home. You're welcome to stop through, and you could hang out with us again.
Well, this has been awesome. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
And
Sue says, "Thank you all for this evening."
yes.
And Bob and Carol said, "What an insightful delight." So thank you
Yes.
guys so much for joining us. We love you all dearly. Oliver, are we going to at least do it? We're going to do our
Absolutely.
blessing.
Absolutely.
So we appreciate you guys spending your time with us. It was helpful and beneficial for us. So we're hoping that it was helpful and beneficial for you as well. We like to bless everyone. And we do this using the Dalai Lama's loving kindness meditation. We do this as a blessing. So we bless all of you who have joined with us and all of those that you hold near and dear in your heart.
So may you be truly happy.
May you live in peace.
May you live in love.
May you know the power of forgiveness.
And may you live in the recognition that your life has deep meaning and good purpose.
That's from the Dalai Lama. Thank you so much for that. And Oliver and I add, may you live in the awareness of who you truly are. We extend this blessing to every being on the planet. And so it is.
So it is. And thank you so much, guys.
Thank you.
Yes, yes, yes.
Thank you so much,
And
Bill and
join
Lisa, for
and
being
join
with
us again each Thursday night at 7:00 for new content, new edition of Truly Live. My name is Oliver.
I'm Yaulanda.
And we are the
We're the OK
We're the
Blues.
OK Blues.
And this is truly the real you loves you.
All right.
I know I have not always been what you want me to be. Even at times I pushed your sweet love away, but you stay right here beside me, never letting me go. Now I know the love I needed was right here all along. I know that love is enough to forgive all the hurt and pain. Love is enough to remove all the guilt and shame. Love is enough to make up for what you have made. I know that love is enough. God's love